Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Golf Shop. I'm Aeson Knight. Of course, I'm sitting down with Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Oh, halfway evil, completely mean, and my normal. What about you?
Oh, doing pretty well. Hey, Brenda.
Are you
Yeah,
Miss Brenda?
yeah.
Yay.
No, doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. So you had great news at your personal trainer today.
I did. I hit my weight goal.
Yes. So you're setting a new weight goal
I am.
and some new goals in general.
Yes, the new goals in general, because this goal was supposed to carry through the end of the third quarter, and now I'm done with it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've went to the weight I want to be at. Now it's time to get to the size I want to be at, like chest size, ab size, and losing a little bit more will be great. Thank
Yes,
you,
and
Miss
Brenda,
Brenda.
congratulations.
Yes, yes,
Oh, but yeah, no, it's very cool. It's very cool. Like you've
yes.
been working really hard on those.
I have. It was interesting, looking at everything they look at and all the measurements and stuff. And some sessions I'd lose a half inch here, half inch there. Nothing really to write home about. And then of course, so I've hit my weight goal finally. I'm actually a 1 pound below my weight goal. My weight goal was 220. I'm not 219. I think that we're going to go to 210, maybe 205. We'll see. Because we don't know what's underneath this, and that'll be fun to find out.
I, I think Brenda's still voting for vampire, but
Yeah, if I get the vampirial body, I'll be super happy, darling.
hey, there you go. There you go. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think you can be a vampire and tan.
Why not? It will
So,
just be easier.
bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah. No, it's easier to tan as a vampire. It takes less time.
Oh, there's that. Oh, pure evil. That's what she's voting for now. Okay, cool.
Yeah, of course, I played into her today. If you guys haven't watched my TikTok, you need to go subscribe to Aeson Knight on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see this face. Make sure it is this face. Um, I've
Oh,
always said I'm a daywalker, but no, you've seen the TikToks that are like, if I break into your house, what would you do? Blah, blah, blah. Well, there was finally a dude that was quite cute done one, and I'm like, do I have to bring my own coffee, or can we get some on the way?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my.
yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
So I'm bouncing down on weight, and you cooked a lovely dinner tonight. Um,
Do what I can.
I know, and like, I can't give up my little blue packets for my coffee. I've tried; it doesn't work. But like, I've took out the artificial sugars. We've took out the gluten mostly, as much as possibly humanly possibly we can find to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
And those have been the two major factors that just changed a lot of my body.
Well, and I've tried to with the vegetables that we cook because I do like adding a little sweetness, like
Mm-hmm.
corn especially. I think improves with a little bit of sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
So swap that for honey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it doesn't quite get that same like charring,
Right.
but yeah, because
Yeah.
I cook our corn all the way.
You do. You do. Now, granted, I think you could do that with a flamethrower, but you have this whole no flamethrower in the house policy.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean I can put you outside in the heat to operate the grill.
Hey, I have no problem working the grill. I will go grill anytime you want.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
We didn't even set that up this summer.
I did not. We sucked on being out, like
Like I
dealing with
think
the
this is
house
two
outside.
summers we haven't used it.
No, I used it last year some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This summer we didn't even set it up. We didn't set the patio up. We did set the porch up. And I've barely been in the backyard. Like since I don't have a garden back there, I didn't go back there. That has become Gizmo land.
It is Gizmo.
So hopefully next year I can get the lighting set up right so that it can be my land too. And we'll have a little bit more base on my schedule. Like that's my next goal, is to stabilize my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Would be very, very nice. As the person who has to translate it and plug it everywhere.
Uh-huh. Like if it was the same every week, you'd be happy.
There have been times that I was like, that sounds good enough. We're just gonna run that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've thought about it. Just been like, yeah, Aeson gets whatever schedule I get.
True. Because you do have approval on my schedule.
I do. Like I can just go in there and work you whenever.
You do. Okay, so why is this musician in jail singing the jailbait blues?
Now, this is a moment, and before we get into the article, I want to say that it's really picked up the artificial intelligence buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a touch misleading, although true.
Right.
All right, so North Carolina musician arrested, accused of artificial intelligence-assisted fraud caper. So a North Carolina musician was arrested and charged Wednesday with using artificial intelligence to create hundreds of thousands of songs that he streamed billions of times to collect over $10 million in royalty payments, authorities in New York said. Michael Smith, 52, of Cornelius, North Carolina, was arrested on fraud and conspiracy charges that carry a potential penalty of up to 60 years in prison. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said in a news release that Smith's fraud cheated musicians and songwriters between 2017 and this year of royalty money that is available for them to claim. He said Smith, a musician with a small catalog of music that he owned, streamed songs created with artificial intelligence billions of times to steal royalties. A lawyer for Smith did not immediately return an email seeking comment. Christine M. Curtis, who leads New York's FBI office, said Smith utilized automatic features to repeatedly stream the music to generate unlawful royalties. The FBI remains dedicated to plucking out those who manipulate advanced technology to receive illicit profits and infringe on the genuine artistic talent of others, she said. An indictment in Manhattan federal court said Smith created thousands of accounts on streaming platforms so that he could stream songs continuously, generating about 661,000 streams per day. It said the avalanche of streams yielded annual royalties of $1.2 million. The royalties were drawn from a pool of royalties that streaming platforms are required to set aside for artists who stream sound recordings that embody musical compositions, the indictment said. According to the indictment, Smith used artificial intelligence to create tens of thousands of songs so that his fake streams would not alert streaming platforms and music distribution companies that a fraud was underway. It said Smith, beginning in 2018, teamed up with the chief executive of an artificial intelligence music company and a music promoter to create the songs. Smith boasted in an email last February that he had generated over 4 billion streams and 12 million in royalties since 2019, authorities said. The indictment said that when a music distribution company in 2018 suggested that he might be engaged in fraud, he protested, writing, "This is absolutely wrong and crazy. There is absolutely no fraud going on whatsoever." That was totally fraudulent. So, okay. So, this story is a little less about AI. AI's part of it.
Right.
Part of it. And this isn't going to be like you went into ChatGPT and you made a song. This was a very specialized usage of AI that he used to create multiple fake songs, and then a bunch of accounts that I'm sure were robotically created and continuously playing music,
Right.
those particular songs, which he owned the rights to, so that he got royalties on those songs. This isn't so much about the AI doing something necessarily nefarious.
Right.
It's a nefarious use of AI.
Right. It's like nefariously using AI to stream the Sleepy Coffee Shop 10 billion times so we get 4 cents.
Well, more importantly, to go through and artificially create additional shows
Mm-hmm.
that we don't care if anyone watches because they're artificially created shows, and then setting up like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fake YouTube accounts to then watch those shows continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You just keep streaming and then cashing out.
That's insane.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But done in a way that it was so distributed that it blended in at least enough that it evaded their current ability to detect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure that just got improved.
Oh, I'm sure it's gotten tightened down and improved, and this is probably why we have to sign in and tap "Are you still listening?" 100 damn times a day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's very likely that he had managed to do this in a way that was thwarting that.
Right.
So as in it was already built in to keep doing that. Yeah, Brenda says, we've talked about clones of Aeson. No, not even AI clones of Aeson. No, Joe. No, we're not doing this. We would not.
Right.
Like, but it is something to point out that this is one of like a ton of different ways that people do make money, or at least position themselves to make money, that are not on the up and up.
Well, now I wish they'd go after the people that are buying fucking followers.
Right. And a lot of those are bot accounts as well.
Right.
Like not bought. Well, they are bought, but they're robotic accounts. They are not attached to a real human. Right. So they're fake followers, and then programmed to engage in fake content as well. So like, share, subscribe, post a comment. Like, share, subscribe, post a comment. Like, share, subscribe, post a comment. So it's sometimes why you see accounts suddenly jump. That like, oh, that, you know, that you see like these content plateaus where
not
like
only that, but you see like, I don't know, let's take Jacqueline Hill for instance. She has millions of followers, but only about 236 of them engage in her stuff. Or, you know, James Charles, same thing. And I'm like,
did you buy followers? Are these real followers? Like, what's a legitimate engagement level? Like, how many per 100,000 should be engaging?
Yeah.
And granted, sometimes that number can be low. Like, not every user engages, and we get that. We get that. Like, we always hope you enjoy the content. We know we will hear about it if you don't. We would love to hear more about it if you do. But no, we understand that not every video we put out is going to have, you know, tens of comments, let alone hundreds of thousands. Regardless of what our subscriber base is. And that happens. But it does kind of like bring into question when it's like you don't just have, you know, thousands of followers. You have millions of followers, and it's like there seems to be a little group of like a couple hundred. That are actually content.
They are just on the Rewatch crew. Just go in and put a coffee cup. Like, if you don't got a comment, we love your comments because we actually answer them live on air. But just go put a coffee cup in there.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just as a quick dirty test to see like who is listening. Not really who as much as how many.
Right.
Like, you don't have to fully engage, just hit something. Like, you can put a smiley. I don't care.
Right, which Spotify finally started letting us have comments. We've got tens of thousands of views over there. The podcast started on Blog Talk, so it went to Spotify as soon as Spotify became Spotify. But, like, if you're watching and you've never left a comment before, just throw us a coffee cup. If you like something, if you got a comment, let us hear about it.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, it's a spirited little article. I'm sure we're going to see some more of this. I just hope artists actually get a redistribution of the reclaimed funds, and it doesn't just go
right
and line someone's pocket.
Yeah, like Taylor Swift needs some more money.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean Taylor Swift, sure, but I'm talking like actual, right. There's a lot of small content creators out there that it may be 50 cents would be all that would come out of it.
Oh, wow.
But it's 50 cents they didn't have.
Well, not only that, but that's 50 cents to tell them to keep going. It's like today, I discovered a new country artist that I just love. Like, he's fucking amazing. He is nowhere on the charts, nowhere anywhere else. And it's just like, yep, you get to put into the future country set. Because it's like, these are the artists I love. It's the small ones. Like,
A lot of times it is. Like, and especially before they get put through a music label's machine.
Right.
Of, we're going to, make you look like this. We're going to make you sound like that. We're going to give you songs written by someone who knows exactly what words to say when.
Right.
And we're just going to, you're going to release an album every 6 months. Right. And, welcome to the treadmill. You'll be, useless to us in 3 years. Good luck. Have a nice career.
Right.
But because that seems to be a lot of what we're doing anymore. All right. So Brenda wants his name so she can find him.
I'm looking it up. Oh. I thought it would be in my watch history, but it doesn't.
Well, we can always find that and get that out.
Yeah, it's Chris something. I think. See, this is what I hate is my
make sure you
music. Right, because none of my music is showing up here.
Oh.
And believe me, I've listened to a lot today.
Oh, yeah. All right, so moving on over to The Guardian, Goodnight Universe Inside the Mind of a Psychic Baby. From the writers of lockdown hit Before Your Eyes, the new game uses VR or plain old webcam tech to see how life looks as a paranormally gifted infant. So, how do you follow the game that made the world cry? It's a question that's haunted writer Graham Parks ever since 2021's BAFTA-winning Before Your Eyes, released during the height of lockdown. Parks' webcam-controlled yarn uses players' blinks to fast-forward through protagonist Benny's memories, blinking in and out of each uplifting and gut-wrenching moment of his experience. It quickly gained a reputation for being a Twitch tearjerker, its affecting tale and months of pandemic-fueled misery creating a perfect Kleenex-blowing storm. As a writer, that has definitely been intimidating, says Parks. I'm interested in using games to tell concise, emotional stories, but we can't say that every single time we're going to make you weep. Still, tears or no, things are already looking pretty promising for Before Your Eyes' intriguing follow-up, Goodnight Universe, developed by Nice Dream, an all-new studio formed by creators Graham Parks and Oliver Lewin. Goodnight Universe has already won the 2024 Game Award at the Tribeca Film Festival, beating the brilliant Thank Goodness You're Here to the punch. So Goodnight Universe's premise, it's a game where you play as a psychic baby, says Parks, with a sheepish grin. Utilizing either a webcam or a VR headset, players are placed into the tiny frame of an infant, Isaac, who begins to develop mysterious abilities. It's up to the fledgling, crawling psychic to come to grips with their rapidly blossoming new gifts, moving their eyes in order to bend their gargantuan surroundings to their will. Preferably, Parker explains, without freaking out Isaac's poor parents. Before Your Eyes was very much a game about disempowering you, says Parks, but we always felt like these mechanics, blinking and eye tracking, could also be used to make you feel empowered to feel magical. Sounding more boss baby than indie darling, Goodnight Universe's story is definitely a tonal shift, and one that it took to the team a while to land upon. We had that sophomore album anxiety for a really long time, says Parks, to the point where I remember having to institute a rule where we couldn't even talk about Before Your Eyes in our ideation sessions. Luckily, inspiration finally came via a gurgling new face in the boardroom. Our lead designer, Bella, had his first kid, says Parks. She started coming to meetings and was at the age where you'd plonk her down and almost forget that she was there, as she just sat staring at one thing for an hour. We've become known as the people who make games where you don't really move around. I noticed her quietly staring at me, and it was that, oh shit moment, Goodnight Universe was born. From kinetically changing TV channels to sending wooden blocks flying, Goodnight Universe takes players on Isaac's strange and heartfelt journey to understand his abilities, win acceptance from his family, and avoid being kidnapped by a shady tech corporation. With our nappy-wearing protagonist voiced by Top Gun Maverick's Lewis Pullman and a supporting cast featuring actors from TV and shows such as Veep, Barry, and The Daily Show, the LA studio wisely took advantage of its close proximity to Hollywood. I think that a lot of indies are scared off by the union and actors that only do film and TV, adds the game's producer, studio director, and composer, Oliver Lewin. But the truth is that actors are really excited by this stuff. Thanks to the BAFTA win, Before Your Eyes eventually transcended its webcam origins, finding a home on Netflix's steadily growing mobile game library. Yet for Lewin, the game's story is married to the humble webcam. For us, the face tracking tech is all about adding extra immersion, says Lewin. It really surprises me that few devs are exploring this. There is so much that you can do with just a simple webcam, and everyone has one. Our games are, in a lot of ways, playable films, adds Parks. I think what really motivates us more than any of the exciting controls is how we use this medium to tell our narrative in interesting and unique ways. In a medium built on slaying dragons, fragging demons, and embarking on intergalactic power fantasies, there's something refreshingly quaint about Goodnight Universe. Yet, after shedding my fair share of tears to Before Your Eyes, if there's anyone that can do this strange premise justice, it's an oddball LA art game collective. Goodnight Universe is due on PC in 2025. Other platforms to be announced.
Yes. I think this will be wonderful. And here's why. By the way, that's the artist's name. It's in my chat. It's in the thing there. It's Chris.
Chris Houseman.
Yes.
There you go.
I like his song Drag Queen. It's really fun. But anyway, so Goodnight Universe, I think, is finally going to give everyone else a perspective of how a psychic baby is. They've actually done this pretty well.
It sounds very interesting.
The idea of being the throwing blocks at people.
Always fun. Always fun.
Always fun. Always fun. All right. So we've got some shattering news. Spirit Defense's Psychic News magazine battles to ward off closure.
Oh, okay. I missed that one somehow.
It's from The Guardian, too.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there we go. Got it. So, from The Guardian, Spirited Defense, Psychic News magazine battles to ward off closure. Journal of British Spiritualism, which exposes fake mediums, faces financial crisis after subsidy is withdrawn. The editor of Psychic News has to admit that no, he did not see this magazine's financial crisis coming. We didn't have to consult a clairvoyant to know that times were tough. What we didn't foresee coming was that the charity that has funded us was going to withdraw its subsidy. Tony Ortson has spent much of his working life at the House Journal of British Spiritualism, which he joined as a junior reporter when it was a weekly newspaper in 1972. Now 72, Ortson is still working 6 days a week with skeleton staff while trying to save a publication that has been hit by the same issues that have plagued the rest of the news industry. Declining print circulation, soaring cost inflation, competition from the internet, and a slow recovery from the COVID lockdown. When people are hard up, they'll cut back on things like newspapers and magazines and going out for meals, he said. It's a combination of unfortunate circumstances. Spiritualism is, as Ortson puts it, the belief that there is life after death and the so-called dead can make contact via a medium. It also promotes the highly disputed theory that people can be healed by spiritual healers, transferring energy from the dead to the living. Ortson, who is trained as a reporter by the National Council for the Training of Journalists, said his magazine existed to promote this belief, but it took a professional approach towards journalism that was lacking in other online spiritualist outlets and influencers. Over the years, no one has been more forceful in exposing fake mediums than Psychic News. I want to stress the majority of mediums are painfully honest people who will go to a spiritualist church and demonstrate on a soaking wet Friday night for 15 pounds and don't even get their petrol money. But as in all walks of life, there's the odd rogue and vagabond, he said. Ortson said the publication, which is now a monthly 64-page glossy magazine, reported without fear or favor on people who fake their ability to speak to the so-called dead. In the 80s, I was very impressed by a medium who is still alive, but who was exposed by News of the World, he said. We reported their story straight down by the middle. I still don't know whether the medium cheated or not. He suggested there was a problem with people failing to check the credentials of those claiming to be able to talk to those on the other side. The problem is anyone can say, I am a medium. Ortson declined to give exact circulation numbers of Psychic News, saying his outlet was bumping along, but added that the magazine had been hit by the long-term decline in attendance at spiritualist churches in the UK. He politely bemoaned the way that many people shared a single copy with their neighbors and family, something that did not help sales figures. In an attempt to increase its readership, the magazine has breached out into mind, body, and spirit in its broadest sense by pivoting to coverage of water dowsing and complementary medicine. The latest edition contains a feature on potential evidence for UFOs in the Vatican archives, alongside updates on the legal regulation of witches and a straight news report on a clinical scientist criticizing NHS hospitals that offer complementary therapies for cancer treatment. One of Ortson's favorite stories during his time on Psychic News was about a Brazilian medium called Luiz Antonio Gasparado, who would go into trance with his eyes closed and paint replicas of paintings by long-dead artists. Any famous artist you can think of had returned through him. He could start and finish a picture in minutes, one with his left hand and one with his right hand. He was living in down at Hill Bedsit in Pimlico, London, and I had a private setting with him, and he painted with his feet, Ortson said. Until recently, Psychic News received a subsidy from the spiritualist charity JV Trust to cover losses, but it was recently informed that this funding be wound down over the coming months, leaving Ortson to resort to a GoFundMe appeal in an attempt to raise £30,000 to keep the publication going as it approached this centenary of its founding in 1932. If we can struggle on for a further 18 months, we can hopefully become self-sufficient, Ortson said. He is assisted by Paul Brett, who holds the roles of assistant editor, advertising boss, circulation, and marketing manager, along with a number of part-time staff. All are now at risk of redundancy. Ortson said he had no time for people who mocked his faith. If you're going to criticize something, you should have some experience of what you're trying to debunk. Spiritualists are quite normal people. Most of my neighbors know what I do. They probably think I'm dotty, but without sounding big-headed, I think when you pass, you'll find out. I have no doubt whatsoever that when they pass on, and this applies to believer and skeptic, they will find out the reality of life after death. I shall be very spiritual and won't say, I told you so. I will give them a big hug and say, how lovely to see you again.
Okay. Here's my problem with this magazine, and this has been a troubling for the magazine itself. It has not moved to online. It needs to move to online circulation, put up a paywall. Like, if I want the magazine, because I've tried to get Psychic Defense before. I've tried to write for Psychic Defense before. Both of those are neither options.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So basically, they do not exist online, and that's really hard now.
Right.
Like, especially with a lot of print publications going online only. Right. Just because, quite frankly, it cuts their cost dramatically. Right. From a print publication, everywhere from literal printing all the way to mailing costs and everything else. Like, it's so much easier to manage. Right. And it is the unfortunate reality that a lot of print publications, for better or worse, because I know there's a lot of people that miss their print publications. It's still a struggle, however, to justify the expense, because it's never been more expensive to print than it is right now.
Right. You know, it's a subscription-based magazine, and I get that's traditional how it is, but it's going to have to pivot quickly. It has no video. It has very little information. I mean, look at the website, honey. I sent it to you. You're going to revolt.
Oh, we've had articles, I think. We had like an article from there, didn't we?
We've had a few articles that we've gotten through the AP from there.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's very 1920, 1980, 1990 press, instead of being able to like click the magazine and buy it and be able to sit here and read it right online. They could reduce their costs immensely if they went to online only.
There's literally an online subscriptions. Click here to subscribe to the online version of Psychic News Magazine.
And you
1 year, £32. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will still get sent to you in print.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
But no, that's a bit of a struggle there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it is very well said, and I'm sure that it really is a well done, physical publication. The problem is that we're just not there anymore.
Right.
Like, we really, really, really aren't.
Right.
And it's just, you kind of have to, at this point, we've hit a tipping point on this, in which you really do have to take your publication fully online.
Right.
Sluice out which stories are worth paying for.
Right.
And which stories are bait.
Right.
Literally, what constitutes, a story that like just kind of exists to bring people in.
Right.
And then while you're here, maybe think about a subscription. You can read these other stories.
Right. And then look at their advertising cost is fucking stupid.
Okay.
What I mean by that is like £62 for a almost half-page ad.
Technically, I think that's pretty straight up.
No, that's cheap as hell.
Oh. I mean, it's been a while since I've had to look at like buying or selling advertising. I mean, it's about where I thought it would be for a publication of its size. Like, they could bump it up a little bit.
Inquirer. But no, like average advertisement in a magazine with its circulation should be at least 3 times that amount. Like the prices are very.
Yeah, Brenda's with you on the sounds cheap.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we can sit here and armchair quarterback at it, but it sounds like they're really not like trying to go
Right.
or too heavily move away from print.
Right.
So,
and that's a problem. You know, especially with a magazine of this rich diversity of the work that they've done. They've done a lot of work for the industry in itself. They've done a lot of work completely. But they've got to open up. They've got to put more out there. And I hope that they're seeing this.
Well, if they do, it's definitely, it's time.
Right.
It's
right.
time.
It's time to get up and move. It's time to make some decisions. The church has had to move forward a lot. It's time for you to move forward a lot.
Well, and I think he brings up a valid point that may also be part of the issue is are spiritualists really moving forward, or are they just moving out? Because we have seen like the mass exodus of attending religious services.
Right.
And a lot of that's taken a lot of them online in hope of like reconnecting to an online audience. But I don't think spiritualists have really like gone that route.
Well, they haven't, and here's why. It's because spiritualist churches are basically psychic training foundations. And there's just not a lot of people training to be mediums anymore. Like that's a rare, to have an English trained medium, like a kid coming up as an English trained medium, is rare nowadays. Because it is hard training. It is brutal training.
I think that kind of harkens back to the whole, like, the problem is bigger than.
Right.
Like, the current moment. It's like, you've got a few problems.
Yeah.
Like, even if you save the publication, you have a dwindling audience for it. You have a projected dwindling audience for it. Like,
see, I don't think they have a dwindling audience. I think they have a dwindling. Like, if you asked, and you can do this in the group chat while we're on air, what do we got? Like 15 psychic clients, 4 or 5, somewhere in there. I don't know. I don't keep up with their numbers. How many of them read Psychic Defense or psychicnews.uk? Very few of them will, because it's not a popular magazine that's, used to be popular, but a lot of the places that used to carry it have now sprouted off to doing their own, or they've moved online. Lilydale has its own magazine online. But UK mediumship training, which is what the spiritualist church is for, is there's not a lot of people signing up to be mediums because of the training, because that they can just read a couple books, learn some techniques, jump out and do it, and then suffer the consequences. Because you don't have the training, and then go, oh crap, got to figure this out. Yeah. But even the church itself is progressing. The spiritualist church was one of the first to back us, the LGBT community. They're still one of the first to take on any spiritual beliefs, looking at spiritual beliefs. But there's a lot of growth in that area, but the church has changed directions very fast. I would look for them within 5 years to offer the training online, much like the registered spiritualist did.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, but I hate this for the publication. I mean,
right.
But I hate to say it is that for some it's like it's going to be, well, it's kind of the way
Right.
that's going to work, and it's probably
Right.
time. Like if you're
Well,
not going to really lock in
right.
and continue, your journey by
Right.
like doing the things
Hmm.
that consumers are expecting,
Right.
like across the board, not just the publication, but like
Right.
across the board.
Hmm.
Um, then this is the inevitable conclusion.
Right.
Like, and that's okay. I mean, it's probably a bad choice somewhere in the mix, but
Right.
that's a choice you can make.
Right.
I just think you have to finally make it.
Right.
Like, we're either moving into the future or we're just gonna get buried in the past.
Exactly. And that's what's happened so often. And that's why we no longer have Silverville, which was another mediumship training camp in the Illinois. They didn't want to progress.
Okay.
They were still like, you got to wear your white suits, your black suits. You still got to do. And the spiritual community has to step it up. They have to change the transfer. You know, I don't care if the medium's dressed in a suit or a t-shirt and jeans. They can still do a good mediumship reading. All right. So we got a new film coming out, guys.
Okay, so I think that's why do New Yorkers see psychics and who are they? Oh yeah, a new documentary explores the
Yeah.
field. All right, so why do people see psychics? How do you become a psychic? Do you have to believe in something for it to have an emotional impact on you? These are just some of the questions explored in the new documentary Look Into My Eyes, which opened at Film Forum in Manhattan on Friday. It follows 7 New York City psychics who help clients find forgiveness, love, and closure. The film sets aside questions about authenticity and focuses instead on the human element of the psychic world. In the latest feature from documentary filmmaker Lana Wilson, whose works include After Tiller, an Emmy-winning documentary about the 4 most targeted abortion centers in the United States, Pretty Baby Brooke Shields, and Miss Americana, a critically acclaimed documentary about Taylor Swift. Wilson joined Alison Stewart on a recent episode of All of It to discuss the film, belief, closure, and more. Below is an edited version of their conversation. Alison Stewart, you went to a psychic. That was your original idea for the film. What prompted you to go? Lana, it was the morning after the 2016 presidential election. Donald Trump had just been elected president, and I was distressed. I was heartbroken. I felt lost. I was a lifelong skeptic and never considered going to a psychic before, but that morning I was feeling all of these feelings, uncertain of what to do with myself. I was standing by a strip mall and saw a sign that said $5 psychic reading. Without even thinking, I just walked in. There was a table and 2 chairs. No one was there, but I sat down on one of the chairs and immediately had the sensation of looking in a mirror, like I had this flash of clarity about my own internal vulnerable state at the moment. I felt so emotional, I kept thinking, this is crazy. No one's even here. After that, the psychic came in and she gave me a 5-minute reading. I don't remember the specifics of what she said, but I do remember that I wasn't thinking about, do I believe this woman or not? But rather, I was thinking about how I felt and what the emotional experience was. I felt comforted by her, and I was fascinated by that. Is that Maya Angelou quote, people won't remember what you said, but how you made them feel? Wilson, yes, absolutely. What question did you want to answer in your film? Wilson, one of the biggest questions I had was related to the idea that I came into this not believing in psychics, yet I felt comforted and I had this powerful emotional experience. One question I had was, do you have to believe in something for it to have real emotional impact on you? Another question was, is this performance, is this authentic? What's the difference between the two? Then I also wondered, what questions are people asking in these private rooms? How do you become a psychic and why? What draws people to this universe? You chose 7 psychics who were featured in the film. What qualities were you looking for when you were looking for your subjects? Because they're really quite different. Wilson, I started out visiting storefront psychics, and then I quickly moved away from that and became drawn toward people who operate more at the intersection with therapy. I would say they're doing like hour and hour and a half long deep dive sessions. One of them is actually a former therapist. I was drawn to people who are deeply sincere about what they do. There are certainly psychics out there who I think are just trying to make as much money as possible and are conning people out of money. These psychics in my film, you can agree or disagree about whether or not they're actually accessing the afterlife or not. I welcome all different opinions on that from audience members. One thing they have in common is that they're committed, sincere about how they approach this work. Over time, as I got to know them, I came to learn that many of them had some formative experience with loss or with trauma, some kind of grief that they were still processing that brought them to the psychic world in the first place. I did get that from the film that many of the psychics offered a sense of closure. Do you think people came for that? Wilson, yes, I think this is not unlike any other religious belief system in that it's a way of finding closure, finding meaning in these unimaginable losses. One of the people in the film describes it as grieving out loud at one point. That's part of what I mean when I say that everyone has different ideas about what happens when we die and if there's an afterlife and what that's like. Coming together and remembering someone and sharing that memory and having this connection with someone else in person can be really meaningful, no matter what your religious beliefs are. One of the first people in your documentary is a doctor, and she's very straightforward. A small girl who died in her arms, and she wants to know if she's all right. Why did you want to start with a person of science talking about psychics? Wilson, as soon as we filmed that session, I knew this was the opening scene of the movie because, yes, she's an emergency room doctor. Science background, as you say. It's so unexpected that this person would be coming to see a psychic.
Bullshit. Sorry, I get doctors all the time. I get CEOs all the time. I get, like, I'm glad to say, like, I haven't watched this documentary. If I am able to find it, you will get a reaction video from me. One of the questions here is, where does the job of a psychic begin and end? There are many, many different answers to that. People can define it however they want, and I saw more in common personally with faith and religious leaders rather than therapists. I think it's talking about things we can't see, believing in things we can't see, hearing stories about things we can't literally prove, but that we feel or want to feel. I kind of agree with this.
It's kind of a back and forth.
It is. Like, the whole article is a back and forth. Like, I'm going to hope they put this up online somewhere where it's accessible, so that I can do a reaction to it. Yeah, that's like Call Me Miss Cleo. The new version is coming out when it comes out, and I'm able to find time to watch it. Then you'll get a reaction video to that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like an interesting take.
Yeah.
Like, you're not trying to prove it, you're trying to talk about the comfort that comes from it.
Right.
Without necessarily touching on, is it real, is it not real, is it showmanship, is it not showmanship?
Right.
But then ask the question, like, okay, regardless of whether it's real, is the interaction authentic?
Right.
Like, and that's a very different concept.
Right.
Is that you don't necessarily have to have a solid belief one way or the other, but can you, through a very authentic experience, still have a very rewarding experience,
right?
Even if maybe it's is or isn't. I think that's an interesting perspective to take for a documentary.
Right. I think it's a different perspective. Now, granted, I hope they share some of the business side of this. Like, like no one's really looked at the business side of this, and I wish a documentarian would. I think that would be interesting. Now, for those shuddering, JP Morgan stock is slumbering. I wonder why.
All right, so JP Morgan stock slumps as interest rate warning rattles market. New York, JP Morgan Chase shares fell more than 5% after the president of the largest U.S. bank tempered the outlook for its earnings from interest payments as interest rates are expected to ease. President and Chief Operating Officer Daniel Pinto said forecasts for net interest income, NII, or the difference between what the bank makes on loans and pays out on deposits, were overly optimistic. The Federal Reserve is widely expected to lower its key policy rate by at least 25 basis points at its September 17-18th meeting, kicking off a monetary easing cycle that would lead to smaller than expected increases in banks' interest income. NII expectations are a bit too high, Pinto told investors at a conference in New York, without providing a revised estimate. Next year is going to be a bit more challenging. Pinto also said that expenses could inch up next year. JP Morgan had forecast in May its NII would raise to $91 billion this year as interest rates remained elevated, excluding its markets division. This commentary about too much optimism on NII for 2025 from the management has rattled the market, said Chris Marinac, Director of Research at financial advisor Janney Montgomery Scott. There are incremental worries about the economy and the political climate, which are likely to contribute more volatility in shares over the next 2 months, he said. JP Morgan shares fell as much as 7.5%, their worst daily drop since June 2020, before closing 5.2% lower. JP Morgan's comments reveal a risk of some pressure on earnings, which will accelerate in the coming months, Octavio Martinez, CEO of consulting firm Optimus. However, the hit that JP Morgan stock has taken is outsized. Other U.S. banks swim in the same water and will see a similar downturn. JP Morgan's total investment banking fees could climb by 15% in the third quarter, Pinto added. The bank's profit rose to a record in the second quarter, buoyed by a 46% jump in investment banking revenue. Rivals including Citigroup and Wells Fargo also reported strong gains in investment banking. Revenue from JP Morgan's newly merged commercial and investment bank unit also jumped to a record $35.5 billion in the first half. Trading revenue is expected to be flat or rise 2% in the third quarter, while volumes for mergers and acquisitions will probably stay steady, Pinto said. That compares with a 10% trading revenue increase in the second quarter. The prediction echoes more subdued guidance from Goldman Sachs for trading revenue to likely fall 10% in the third quarter. Citigroup estimated on Tuesday that markets revenue would probably drop about 4%. Bank shares fell.
What I wonder is how much of this is connected to their little bank error glitch.
See, I still struggle with the fact that we're calling it a glitch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a two-parter. There was a glitch in Chase Bank systems, and the glitch was being allowed to make a deposit and withdraw the total funds immediately. Most banks have quit doing that for large deposits eons ago. Right. For whatever reason, which I do think it had to do with some system work that was being done, that was non-functional. Whether it was turned off intentionally or it was turned off as part of the work they were doing or what have you, it did allow, there was a glitch in that you could make, say, a $10,000 deposit and withdraw $10,000 and use the entirety of those funds immediately. The rest of it isn't a glitch. It's check fraud. Plain and simple, ye old check fraud, kiting checks. But using your own account, like, just, it could get worse. But literally people taking their checkbook, writing a check to themselves for amounts that in no way did they have to begin with.
Right.
To then deposit that check at the ATM, which, because of the withdrawal limit being removed, could immediately be withdrawn and spent, moved and spent, moved to other accounts, or left people with the impression that it worked and they had a newly inflated bank balance based on that deposit. Right. Unfortunately, or however you want to term that, that's not a thing. If only it were so simple as writing a check to yourself and depositing it to have money.
Right.
Like, there was a play school, my first ATM giant plastic concept with this that is like, how are adults? And you can't blame one generation.
No.
This was all segments, all races, all genders. There was no one who did not watch a TikTok video and feel like this was a good life choice. Like, senior citizens were doing it, our newly minted 18-year-olds were doing it, everyone in between.
Right. We didn't do it because, of course, we don't deal with Chase. But this is, they had thousands of incidents.
More to the point, it's check fraud. Don't do it.
Do it. But they had thousands of incidents, and now their stock is slumping on Monday morning. I wonder why.
I think that definitely plays a small part in it. I think that, like, the fact that Chase is being attached to it, and was so heavily targeted, and didn't seem to be catching on to it. Like, they got there, but basically it looks like they were letting a lot of customers continue to do it. Now, granted, these are ATM transactions, and we don't live in a nanny state.
Right.
For most consumers, you don't have to Mother May I to make a deposit.
Right.
Yeah, you might have to take money out sometimes. But it looks like there wasn't. And again, the question becomes, while there was a known glitch because of some work they were doing that allowed the transaction withdrawals to occur based on a recent deposit, which is not supposed to happen. Because typically those deposits get held. They may make 10% of the money available, then 30, 40, 50% of the money available, and then like a week or two later, you may have full access. It's
normally 10% or $100.
Right. Well, is the immediate availability.
Right.
But this was, you made a $10,000 deposit. You could walk right over, pull your card out, put your card back in. I don't even know you had to do all that, but you could literally immediately withdraw cash based on the deposit. Like, you could have like $3 in your account, deposit 10 grand, pull 1,000 out. And the system was not even flagging the behavior, because usually in addition to that, it is typically an understanding of your consumer base that for some customers, if you don't have normally high daily balances, it's unlikely you just suddenly are going to start having this kind of deposit.
Right.
That if you're running like average people and you have a couple $100 in there, like you get a paycheck, you pay your bills, and then your balance maybe lives around a couple $100 and dwindles down, and then payday hits again. If that's your normal, typically banks are loath to believe that like a $10,000 deposit that is, related to something else, like a settlement check, a lottery win, gift from a parent, something, is fully, this is legit. Especially when people start making multiple transactions.
Right.
And that was the bigger case here, is that a lot of people were doing this repeatedly. So they did like $10,000. It worked, so they thought. And then they did $30,000 and $50,000, and it's really bad.
It is.
In terms of
California and New York are already moving towards charges on these people.
And the charge is
check fraud, which is up to a year in prison and financial penalties, and you'll never get a checking account again, even at crappy Wood Forest.
See, I'm waiting to see how this plays out long. Because that may, in a sense, be true. But I think with the rate at which people engaged with this, there's going to be a future market opportunity to offer most likely what'll get shut down by, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but for a little while, what will be a pseudo bank account that, you can't do that because of, your past history with check systems. There's going to be a service.
Right.
Someone's going to come around in a couple of years and start offering these people, once they're out of jail, and have, paid all their fines and hopefully grown a brain. Sorry guys, this was dumb. Dumb. But, prepare for judgment here. Get to a point in which, hi, we're more responsible, more mature adults. And there will be a product, I will guarantee you, because there are enough people. It's sort of like the spring up of buy here, pay here car loans. It's like the spring up of payday loans. If there's a market, a company will figure out a way to do it.
If they can get through our state doesn't have payday loans. They're illegal in this state. All right, guys, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be seeing if Joe's the asshole.
All right.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techie-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m. Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson Knight. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Aeson's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca. Explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Knight every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
All right. Welcome back. All right, plead your case.
All right. Am I the asshole for not giving my daughter money to buy food since she won't talk to the college desk to fix her food card? Edit. I can't believe I have to say this. I can't force an adult to do anything. I don't have that power. All right. So let's get into it. Also, please read comments before an info. It probably has been answered. So, my daughter recently started college in person, and part of her expenses is covered by a meal plan. She is 19, and her first year of college was commuting because of her anxiety. She decided to go to college in person this year and is staying in the dorms. The problem is her food card isn't working. It's something that can be easily fixed by contacting the college dining services, but she refuses to go talk to them. She needs to get a new one since this one is bent. My daughter has pretty bad anxiety, especially around making phone calls and talking to people in authority. I've told her repeatedly that all she needs to do is go to the dining services office, but she won't do it. As a result, she's been skipping meals and calling me, upset that she's hungry. I have expressed multiple times that she needs to handle this and go talk to the people. I've refused to step in and handle it for her. I got a call today asking me to give her some money to buy food at Walmart. I told her no and told her to go talk to the people. This resulted in an argument, and she thinks I'm being a huge asshole. My spouse thinks I'm being too harsh and need to send money or fix it for her. So the am I the asshole from the OP is, am I the asshole for not giving my daughter money to buy food since she won't talk to the college desk to fix her food card? I may be a jerk since my daughter is struggling and I'm refusing to help her out.
It's going to sound harsh, but you're an asshole.
Ooh, did not see you go in that direction on it. All right. I want to hear this one first.
Okay, I'm sorry. She's calling you for food. Now, if she was calling you for drugs, she was calling you for party money, if she was calling you to get her hair done, I'd have a problem. She's calling you for fucking food, dude. maybe, the food card isn't working. Maybe it could be something that you can handle yourself. Dude, get with it.
See, I'm in a totally different viewpoint
Okay.
of this one. I don't think you're the asshole. I don't think there's any good way to handle this one other than to kind of dig in and be like, you need to figure this out. You're 19 years old. The process is simple. I understand that you have anxiety. I understand this is difficult. I understand it is a struggle. I do think OP could maybe offer some suggestions like take a friend. Like, I'm sure they will allow you to have a moral support person. Like, hopefully she is not just sitting in the dorm room, starving, having made no friends at all, even though she's already been a commuting student for a year. I think at some point you do just have to kind of be like, you're either going to sink or fail.
Right.
Like, you have to learn to at least be proactive because he's really not denying her food. Like, her food is covered. Right. She has a dining card and a meal plan attached to it. The dining card is broken. Go to the dining services people. They will take your broken card. They will go, and offer and issue you a new one. At most, they're going to bill your student account for a few bucks for the replacement. Though for most colleges, the first one's like the first card you get is free. Sometimes they'll do one replacement free, and then after that, you got to pay for this. Or at least that's how it used to be. I don't know if they do that on the new ones.
Right. We're not sure about that. She's not sure about that. She's not gone and talked to them. The dude could easily say, all right, I'm coming down Sunday or I'm coming down Monday and you're going to handle it, but I'll go with you. He's assuming that she has A, the ability, B, she understands what's handled, and C, she's able to handle this with her anxiety. But if someone calls you for money for food and you know it's for food and you refuse it, you're an asshole automatically.
Okay. I'm not there on this one. I'm at not the asshole. I think point blank, this is a push them out of the nest. Like, you've got to figure some things out. Like, you have to make it work. And it sucks. Do not think I'm saying, this is so like, like it'll just be sunshine and lollipops. Right. I've dealt with some assholes that work for colleges. Like, let me tell you, I've dealt with some assholes during my college experience.
Right.
But the reality is, like, you're going to be dealing with assholes the rest of your life, and the more experience you get at it, especially in one where you're a baby college student, you have the ability to be like, Daddy, they're mean to me. And Daddy can come show up. So that does kind of sometimes moderate their behavior a little bit, is the knowledge that you have some power in this situation.
Right.
Like, you tick off especially, and I hate to say this, it's very kind of prejudiced. It is prejudice. But, like, for women especially, like, there's sometimes that processing moment of, like, they're the most likely to call a daddy. And I'm going to have some dad down here biting my head off and screaming at me. So let's, get her back to her, like, she has access to food without having to deal with a dad.
Right. But at the same point, she has a mental disorder. This was a mental disorder that caused her to be a commuter in the first place. It's accommodations.
Fair enough, but if she can't, I'm just saying that and I don't know how to best like phrase it, put it there. Like, is she like, and it's a question. Like, I would hope she's working with like a supportive service on campus,
Right.
surrounding her issues, and that like hopefully she would have a contact there by now.
Right.
That like she's having to meet with, she's having to talk to, that she can bring up things and they can help her through this without dad having to drop everything and go run to the college.
Yeah,
whether
because
that's
they've been in
20
college
minutes away or not.
less than 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, sorry, dad's an asshole.
Okay. I'm still going with not the asshole.
Okay.
This is one of those I think you really have to suck it up and deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how else to put it. I think it's one of those you just have to like tough your way through it.
Right.
Like,
yeah. All right. So we got some commentary here.
Ooh, okay.
All right. So I'm half and half, not an ass, but she needs to learn to do it. Learn to do it means you show her how to do it.
Doing it for her will end up like friends married 30 plus child calling to have mom call places for her. Yeah, Brenda's like, I can't believe Joe is coming out to be the mean, strict one this time. I'm not mean. There are some things, like, I'm totally cool with the idea that you need support.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, like, you got to start figuring out how to create and start generating your own support network.
Right.
And I can totally get behind the idea that, necessity is the mother of invention. You will find some fucking friends if you need some fucking friends.
Right. But, this is a position where it's like, I will go with you, but you're going to handle it yourself. I will, walk into it, come up there, we take you to there. You can talk to the people. I will make you talk to them, but I will just stand there. That's all she's asking to do.
Well, and it's not that I don't get that. I'm just sitting here going, but there's also a part of this that it's... And I'm thinking maybe that's the exasperation, is that he's been doing this.
See, I don't think he has. I don't think that I think he took the stance of, oh, you fucked up, you have to deal with it.
Well, because the commentary from I think that was mom or stepmom. Stepmom? Well, my spouse.
Partner.
We're not clarifying whether this is child's mother or stepmother. Is just like, you're being too harsh, send money or fix it for her.
Right.
Like, it doesn't sound like the spouse is even advocating for, like, well, you go, like, can you not find the compromise?
Right.
Like, I'm not opposed to the compromise. I'm just saying,
right.
I don't feel like his position is necessarily about, like, I don't want my daughter to eat. It's more about, you got to start finding ways to figure this out.
Right.
Like, put something in this and come back to me.
Right.
Like, try just emailing him.
Right.
And being like, hi, can I, like, slide it under your door and you put one in my mailbox?
Right.
Something.
Right.
To find ways to navigate around your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you're going to have to deal with this for the rest of your life. It does no good to get a college education
mm-hmm.
if you cannot function socially at all.
Right.
Like, I don't know what kind of job you believe you're going to find or have in which you have zero interaction at all ever with other human beings.
Right.
Like, those are very rare and more likely to not require a college degree.
Right.
Night security for a vacant building.
Right.
Like, but even then, the whole point they hire security is in case someone tries to get in.
Right.
So then you have to deal with people. So I think maybe it's a very tough stance and not really explaining to her, but I don't think you're an asshole for it. I really don't.
Well, I think you're an asshole for not sending money for food and going, all right, I'll be down Monday and we're fixing this.
Yes. All right. So we do have a question. We do see you, Andre. We will get through Am I the Asshole and the, which I think.
And then we'll take the question and then we'll do the psychic thing. All right. So the poll is up. Let's go ahead and take Andre's question because it's basically a reverb of what we said. Thank you, Brenda, for your commentary.
Yes, thank you for helping. So Andre, August 7th, 1992. I love David. Does he have romantic feelings for me? He's Taurus, if that helps.
Let me take a look. Looking at it, I feel he does have feelings for you. However, he's still walking away from his past. I think he's going to have to get balanced before he can pursue anything with you. And when we look at timing, we're looking at about 6 weeks before anything grows here, Andrea. Now, you do say you're in Portugal, so you can find me over Zodiac Psychic, so you're able to service Portugal very easy if you'd like to follow up.
All right. And so, yeah, Andre, we hope that helps. And moving on to our psychic, can you connect to your psychic spirit guides? So I've been thinking about this, but if you get a reading from a psychic and they connect you to your energy and get messages from their guides about you, can you connect to their guides or be able to see their guides as well? I ask because I've been having dreams about a guide who I don't think is mine. Every time I have one of these dreams, my 1-year-old daughter wakes up crying. Anything I can do to help my daughter, and why is this happening?
I don't think you're seeing your psychic's guides because David doesn't even touch your energy, touch you. So from my spiritual and psychic experience, no. You can, however, be seeing your daughter's guides, and your daughter's getting tearful and upset because she doesn't understand who he is.
The strange man is trying to help.
Yeah, the strange man is talking to me, and you're not paying attention to him, and no one else sees him but me.
All right. So one of the first commentaries on this is it your daughter's guide? To which OP says, I don't think so because she wakes up terrified.
Yes. It's an unfamiliar space. It's an unfamiliar human, just like you handling her off to a stranger. Guides aren't always nice and fun and friendly. That's why it's normally about 3 to 5 before they make an appearance.
All right. So, yeah, 1 is very young.
Yeah. Very young. To even understand that.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know what you are trying to tell a 1-year-old that you think is going to be useful.
Stop crying. I'm David. Behave.
Yeah, someone no one else sees would be scary as a little child. I just don't see what necessarily the guide thinks they're going to accomplish, especially if the child's already reacting this strongly. Like, is it one of those things like just keep showing up, she'll get over it eventually? Like, again, talking about tough love, it sounds like the guides are going to be tough love on this.
Well, they're probably, I would suggest, because my guide had been away from Earth for a number of centuries. And he only took one tour down here and said, fuck this place, I'll watch it. So I would suspect that her guides are probably newer guides. They're probably trying to comfort the child, probably trying to aid the child in general, because the child's going to be seeing like grandparents and everything else running in, and it's kind of like, it's okay. And that's still terrifying the child.
But does the guide go tough love on this and be like, I'm just going to keep coming back to you're okay with this?
Well, what the guide should be doing is just watching.
Okay.
Right. And if he's appearing in the mother's dreams, the mother is picking up psychic directly on the guide,
Mhm.
which is very common because the vibration between mother and child at that young age is very much similar because the child hasn't developed their own energy pattern yet. So I'm questioning where the guide could be dialing into the wrong energy pattern.
Ah. So misdirected guide doesn't know exactly where he's supposed to be showing up at.
Either that or guide is trying to go, hey, the baby's going to wake up in a minute. Get your ass in there and get a bottle.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So Brenda says, first time I saw the ghost in the house I grew up in, it was scary. He quit showing himself after that.
Right. Like some of them get it. But I figure that the guide is probably a male guide. I think he even states male guide in the thing. But I figure he's trying to get mom to wake the hell up because the child is throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm. So then that may also bring up the point that is the child actually terrified because of the guide,
Mm-hmm.
or is the child cool with the guide but was terrified because I've been screaming my head off for like 15 minutes, bitch. Bring me food.
Right. And that's a flip possibility there that she's not looking at. She's assuming that she is waking up and not astral projecting or astral traveling immediately. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Guide
Like,
would not have the ability. Right.
Going with some choice words for a baby, but I figure babies get pretty mad if they've been screaming their head off for 15 minutes because
Right.
that's still a considerable portion of their living time.
Right.
Like, oh, so Brenda says baby's guide is saying, I can't take the crying. Would you get her a bottle?
Yeah.
Wake up.
Basically. Is what I would suspect is happening because I think that we have a very
love, light, fuzzy bunny idealism around spirit guides that are a little more
right.
Not so much now.
Not so much. Like we put them on pedestals and they're walking around in flowy robes and, you know, David's like, fuck that. I don't wear a robe. I'm not a monk. It's kind of like people put angels around in like big wings and, you know, running around with swords of fire. And it's like, no, not really. You know, they're more like the, oh God, what was that movie? Angel rocking around in a trench coat, smoking a cigarette, drinking beer, cursing all the time. Back in the 90s. Michael, I believe.
Brenda, what you got for us? Because I got nothing on that. Oh, Michael, apparently.
Yeah, 1996.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's more, yeah.
John Travolta was
John
the
Travolta.
actor.
Yeah, that's more what angels are really like, in my viewpoint. People don't like my viewpoint. It's like everyone isn't channeling the same Archangel Michael. That's a job description. That is not one being. That's thousands of them.
And your mileage, maybe.
Exactly. Depending on how well that they're holding up to their position, it's like your computer's as good as your tech guy. Your Archangel is as good as your Archangel.
Yeah. No. Yeah, better than the Bible description.
Well, in the Bible description, they have people floating around on fucking chariots. That hasn't happened, you know, during the Vaticans. So, you know, I don't know. There is a statement that is in Wiccan philosophy, and I really believe that it needs to be applied to a few other dimensions of religious theory. It says, as above, so below. It's the same thing. It's saying what is on this plane is on the other planes.
No. Alrighty. So, am I the asshole? What does the survey say?
Survey says that no, you are not the asshole for refusing food money to your college daughter.
Wow. I'm surprised. I thought we were going to get a dill pickle on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I could smell it. I could smell the vinegar.
Yeah, not this time, baby.
Not this time.
All right. So we hope you guys enjoyed the psychic subreddit. We're going to start doing that instead of relationships. The reason for that is two things. I've seen the relationship topic on a number of shows. Gee, I wonder where they're getting their ideas. And two, there are very few that fit within my guidelines of what's presentable on the show.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the psychic coffee shop after dark.
Yeah, some of the relationship ones go places. And it's like, it's not just a relationship question. It's more like sex advice central.
Right. Yeah.
I already did the dill pickle with that baby trauma. Oh my God. She sent me a video, y'all. And it is so worth a repost into the break room. Because if it were an Am I the Asshole, I think I would rage quit. Because there's just so much. Like, it could be a whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so many things
are
going on with like trying to name this child that it's like, oh no.
No, let's not.
Okay.
All right. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We are, going to be doing more shows like this because we're getting back to the psychic in the coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Maria Meyer. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. And, Patrons get original content. They get videos y'all guys don't get. They get social updates, all that. They also get a lovely Facebook group to interact with each other. It's a pretty fun time over there. All right, guys. We will see you later. Bye.